Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 39 of the World of Sports podcast. I am your host, Diego Sandoval, joined, as always, by my co host, Logan Ring. Logan, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everyone?
We've got a good episode for you guys today. We've got a pretty NBA focused as we kind of reach the playoffs. But we will be talking a little bit about the MLB. Again, NFL is in its off season. Well, not much to talk about. So we're sticking with NBA and MLB. In the NBA, we're going to give our awards and kind of compare them to our predictions before the season. We got some of them right and some of them not really at all. So it should be interesting to look at that. And then obviously you're going to hear who we think will win each award. Sticking in the NBA, we're going to talk about the play-in. I know we did it last week, but a lot has changed in the last week in terms of the Western Conference play-in. So that's what we're going to focus on. Um, and then we're going to end it off with just talking about one of the main points I think in the MLB this season, and that's how good pitching has been in 2021. We're going to go into reasons behind that and what we think about pitching kind of taking over so far in 2021. As always, follow us on our social medias: TikTok, Instagram, um, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, do it all. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, sorry you don't get to see our faces. You can see us on YouTube if you want to, but um, yeah, rate us, follow us, like us, do all that stuff on there. And yeah, it really means a lot if you did. Let's get into it. NBA awards. All right, we've got about like what, two games for each team, two or one game left for each team in the
Yeah,
NBA.
my
So
awards are set for my opinion, at least.
right, same. So we'll start with the lower ones. Coach of the year. I don't know if you talked about this, but I think it's Quinn Snyder um, of the Utah Jazz. That's my pick. I mean, they're 50-20. They've had just one of the most fluid offenses all year. They've played great team defense, um, and I don't really think there's a reason why he doesn't deserve that award.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a different direction with this. I picked Quinn Snyder like a month ago. I think we both did. I think he's a great pick, and he could definitely win this. Um, but I just wanted to go a different direction because I think it's kind of fun. I'm gonna go with Tom Thibodeau because of the way that he's kind of reshaped the Knicks, and obviously, like the Knicks are like the biggest NBA franchise somehow, even though they've sucked. That's how big of a market New York is. And they were 21-45 last year. They sucked. And then this
Yeah,
year they're 39-31, and Tibbs has completely changed the dynamic of the team. They're like defense oriented, and they were terrible on defense last year. Now they're fourth. That's what Tibbs does. I think he's got the best out of his best players, like Julius Randle. I mean, you got to give the credit to him, but I think Tibbs set him up for success too and allowed him to do what he needed to do. Uh, and like RJ Barrett and guys like that, he plays his starters a ton of minutes, which might not be the best for later in the season, like the playoffs, but I really like what he's done with the team.
he's done a great job with the Knicks. Like,
Yeah.
you look at coach of the year, usually it goes to the coach with the best record. But if we're talking like the coach that made the best improvement on his team, then he's definitely up there. An interesting one who I don't think is going to win the award, but one to look at is actually an interim coach, and that's Nate McMillan of the Hawks. Because since he's become the
Yep.
coach, they just skyrocket into like the fourth or fifth seed in the East. So
Yeah, they've
that
been really good.
great. He's done a great job with that team. Again, I don't think he's going to get it because he came in halfway through the season, so it doesn't really make sense to give him the award. But all credit to him. He definitely deserves to be the coach. Going forward. I don't know if they've announced that yet, but I
He
think
better be. Yeah.
yeah. There's no reason why he shouldn't be.
Yeah. And also Monty Williams for the Suns, just a quick
Hmm.
shout out. He's done great too. I don't think he's
Yeah,
going to win it, but I think he's in the conversation.
yeah. At the beginning of the season, we both picked Frank Vogel. Again, that could have happened if the team stayed healthy, and they were. I mean, they were the best team in the league when everyone was healthy at the beginning of the
Yeah.
season. So, kind of a tough break for us there, but.
Yeah, a lot of our picks or at least a lot of mine, were affected by injuries or just
Yeah.
not playing at all for different reasons. Um, so yeah, Frank
Uh,
Vogel. I mean, we couldn't have predicted AD and LeBron get injured for half the season.
exactly. Now moving on to most improved player to go. What we predicted at the beginning of the season, Logan, you had Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, another guy affected by injury, um, and then I had Michael Porter Jr., who he's not who I picked to win it now, but I think he definitely deserves some credit, and
Yeah,
I think he's in that conversation. I have him either second or third in terms of most improved player. He went from averaging 9 points and 4 rebounds to 19 points and 7 rebounds. And yes, that comes with, increased workload and Jamal Murray's been out, stuff like that. But still, when you have a jump like that, you have to be able to kind of commend that for sure.
yeah,
Um, Jeremy Grant is another one. He's not my winner. I think he deserves credit too. 12 points to 22 points per game. But again, he's one of those guys that I see as kind of almost like worthless stats because he plays for the
yeah.
Pistons.
It's just more opportunity. I feel like sort of.
Exactly. And who do you have for most improved player? We might have the same
I'm
person.
guessing the same guy, but I got Julius Randle. I
Yeah.
think out of the most improved player, I guess front runners, most of them are like, oh, these guys doubled their minutes and doubled their usage rate or whatever. Julius Randle just got better. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
been in the same system as last year. I guess with Tibbs as the coach is the difference, but he's just been better at literally everything. Like he's scoring better, more efficiently. His passing has basically his assist numbers have doubled, and his turnovers haven't gone up that much. He's leading the fourth best off or defense in the league, and he's the obvious leader of that team. He's an all-star. People in New York like appreciate him because they know how much he's meaning to this team, and New York hasn't had a guy like that in a long time. And I think he's just gotten better at everything without having more opportunity, and I feel like that's what most improved players should be. But I mean, other guys have gotten a lot better too, but I don't know. I feel like Julius Randle, for what he's been given, has improved the most.
Absolutely. I had Julius Randle too. And, you said it all. He's improved in every part of his game. One part that I want to point out is he was 27% from three last season, and this year he's been 41% from three.
It's
So
crazy.
that's a insane jump, especially for a power forward who, is able to stretch the floor like that. And then the biggest thing for me for Julius Randle is the Knicks were 21 and 45 last year,
Yeah.
and this year they're 39 and 31 and in the playoffs. So anytime you have a guy who improves in terms of statistics as well as gives that his team that big of a jump, I think he's I don't know about far and away, but I think he's most people's picks for most improved player.
Yeah. And he wasn't like halfway through the season. Like he earned
Right.
that. So
Yeah.
nobody picked him at the beginning of the year. So I think this
Mhm.
is a well-earned award if he gets it.
Yeah. Sixth man of the year. You had Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, he got hurt, like he got tore his ACL like what, the fourth game of the season or something
Yeah.
like
And I
that.
don't think
He
I
never
don't think
came
he
off
was
the
off the
bench.
bench.
He never came off the bench. However, I think I hit it on the nose. I deserve some credit. Jordan Clarkson was my pick for
I
sixth
don't
man
know
of the
how you
year.
got that.
Because, dude, I honestly don't know either. I just knew he was a good player and Donovan Mitchell starting ahead of him. But yeah, I think Jordan Clarkson is a pretty consensus pick in the NBA this year. I mean, off the bench, 18 points. That's really, if you can get a guy off the bench that averages 16, 17 plus points a game, they're going to be in this conversation. And he's just meant so much to that Jazz team, who right now are the best team in the league in terms of record. So I don't really see an argument against Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, I think Jordan Clarkson's the winner. Since you talked about him, I want to talk about my other guy. He's not my pick, but I just want to talk about Joe Ingles real quick.
Yeah,
He's the
teammates.
teammate of Jordan Clarkson, and he's basically like the less flashy guy who just does everything so well. Joe Ingles looks like a 40-year-old dad who shouldn't be in the NBA, but he's so good for no reason. Um, he's shooting 50% from the field, 46% from three, and 84% from the free throw line. I think up until like maybe 2 weeks ago, that was like the most efficient season of all time,
Yeah, he's
which is
having
like
a ridiculous shooting season.
like that's ridiculous. But I don't know, if you can shoot that efficiently, he's also a good passer. He's actually an okay defender, which is weird. But he just fits the Jazz system so well. And I mean, he's so valuable to that team too. I think Jordan Clarkson is the sixth man of the year, but I want to give my props to Joe Ingles too.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, sixth man of the year, we both got Jordan Clarkson. Defensive player of the year, I picked Anthony Davis. Again, an injured guy, but I honestly don't think he was having a defensive player of the year season before he got injured. You know, it is what it is. And you picked Ben Simmons, who I think is in the running. I don't have him as winning it, but he's definitely in the running. Um, one guy, I'll let you do your pick first, but one guy I just want to shout out for defensive player of the year is Bam Adebayo. He has been, I don't think he'll win it. He doesn't really have the, quote unquote stats, like the points per game stats. But if you look at like his advanced stats, he is holding like his opponents to such low field goal percentages. And dude, guys like Joel Embiid last night, Joel Embiid scored like 4 points against Bam Adebayo. And like guys like that, and throughout the whole season, Bam Adebayo has just been locking down bigs in the paint. And I mean, you can't really ask for more from a center, especially with that Heat team the way they're built.
Yeah, he's been really good. I think defensive player of the year is one where there's not like a clear front runner.
Right.
So a couple people could win it. I'm gonna go with Ben Simmons just because I really like him. I think, in my opinion, he is it, but also like I picked him at the start of the year, so I kind of want to root for him. But I'm guessing you're gonna go with the other guy. Mine is the one who can like switch to all fives, defensive like, or to all five players. I mean, on the court. His defensive like statistics are not like the advanced numbers that the other guy will have. I'm guessing you have Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like the eye test is kind of a thing that I really like for Ben Simmons. Like he can go onto your star player and kind of just shut him down. He has 1.6 steals per game, which is solid, zero point 0.6 blocks, but he's a point guard who does that. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's really impressive when you can guard a bunch of different positions. And the Sixers have a really good defense and a good defensive system. So yeah, he's my pick, but I think Rudy Gobert has a really good case too.
Yeah, I mean, defensive player of the year is such a weird award to judge because you can look at it in so many different ways. You can look at it straight up as how many steals and blocks do you average per game. You can look at it as what do opponents score on you every time you have to guard them. Or I mean, you can look at like what you said. Do they have defensive flexibility? Can they guard every position? I went with Rudy Gobert. Again, just a guy that I think has one of the biggest impacts on the best team in the league. So that's where I see him. I mean, and also 2.7 blocks per game is pretty damn good. But I mean, it's absolutely a boring pick because I feel like it's always just like Rudy Gobert or somebody else for defensive player of the year. So yeah, that's who I got. I like that we have Gobert and Simmons because I think those are the two guys that everyone's kind of considering right now. It should be interesting to see because it's going to come down to what do you value more on defense? A big guy down low or a guard that can really do everything.
Yeah, and for Gobert, like the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell, I think is most people's pick for the best player on that team. But Rudy Gobert has no outside shot. He just dunks basically, and he's still like a close second just because of how good he is on defense. So I think that says a lot.
Yeah, and he works so perfectly with that team because of just everyone around him shoots, like can shoot the ball well. So he just knows his role and he does his thing in the paint. So that Jazz team is very well built, basically. Rookie of the year. I think it's a two-player race. I think everyone kind of thinks it's a two-player race between LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. At the beginning of the season, I had LaMelo Ball winning it, and you had Obi Toppin.
Oh no.
Yeah, Obi Toppin is nowhere close to this. He was kind of a disappointment.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I want to just go over his stats really quick. So my pick for rookie of the year, he's only averaging 11 minutes per game. Okay, I didn't expect that. I thought he was going to get the starting role.
I remember because at the beginning of the season you were like, the Knicks are bad. He's going to play a bunch.
Yeah. I mean, that was a bad prediction, obviously, but I don't know who would have predicted the Knicks to be as good as they are. Yeah. But yeah, he's played 60 games. He started injured, but he's been pretty healthy since. 11 minutes per game, 49% from the field, pretty solid, 30% from three, and 4 points a game. So I don't think he's gonna win Rookie of the
Yeah.
Year, but
Yeah.
but
But so like I said, it's LaMelo Ball and it's Anthony Edwards. I mean that's just what it's been all
yeah,
season really. Um, to go over their stats, Anthony Edwards has 19, 4, and 2 a game, and LaMelo has 16, 6, and 6. Uh, but obviously the big hit is that LaMelo has missed around 20 games, I think, with a broken wrist. Um, so, you can take it one of two ways. My pick is LaMelo Ball. I know he missed a lot of time with injury, and I know that's going to hurt him a lot in this race. But I think the biggest difference in these two teams is that the Hornets are a play-in team and the Timberwolves are a lottery team. And I think when he's on the court, LaMelo Ball is far and away the best rookie in this class.
yeah, I agree that he's the best rookie in this class. I'm gonna go with Anthony Edwards just because of the injury. I think it sucks that happened because LaMelo was the clear favorite. But Anthony Edwards has played really good, especially recently. And his stats were like he was shooting like 39% from the field for like most of the season.
He's
Now
picked
that's
that
up,
up.
yeah, now it's up to 42%. That's not great, but because of how good he's played recently and LaMelo being out, I think that's given him a really good case for it. He's not missed a game this entire year. And he didn't even start for the start of it too. So 19 points a game. I think he's averaging like 25 over the past like month and a half. And that's like really, really good. And it wasn't bad efficiency. I think LaMelo is the best player out of these two. I think he should deserve Rookie of the Year if he was healthy. But it's kind of how you look at it. Like he missed a third of the season. Um, it's not like the Joel Embiid situation from a couple of years ago
Yeah.
where he missed like 60 games or something. So I think LaMelo still does have a very good case because, I mean, he still played a lot. But I'm going to go Anthony Edwards just because he's been there the entire time.
It's so crazy to me that LaMelo was so kind of the clear favorite and he was so just ahead above all the other rookies that
Yeah.
he can miss 20 games and it's still a legit conversation.
Yeah.
So, I'll give myself a pat on the back because I called it and you were a hater on LaMelo Ball. So,
I did not think he was going to be this good this fast.
hey, I mean, you know, gotta respect
Hey, I
the
picked him in
balls.
fantasy, though. I didn't have no hope. It was just,
And
wasn't expecting it to be
for
good.
for those of you who are, listeners and true fans of the podcast, every once in a while I'll wear a jersey. I'm wearing a Kobe All-Star jersey right now. I got a LaMelo Ball jersey coming in. So wait on that. I'll
How
wear it
did you
in
pay
next
for that
sub.
jersey? How did you get that money?
I won fantasy basketball. Thank you very much
Congratulations.
for losing.
Oh my God.
Anyways, yeah, it's LaMelo Ball. It's Anthony Edwards. Really, it's going to come down to how much of a impact you have on LaMelo missing the 20 games. Because if you say, oh, it doesn't matter that much. LaMelo played the best when he was on the court. You're going to go LaMelo. But in terms of full season, Anthony Edwards obviously played a lot more games and therefore, was able to put up a lot more numbers. Um, that brings us to MVP, where we have kind of a similar situation. Um, we have a guy who would probably be the MVP if he played every game. And then we have a guy who's just been so consistent all season. Um, I mean, I just named two guys, but there's definitely, 4 or 5 guys in this race. I'm going to start off with a guy who I don't think is going to win it, and that's Steph Curry. A lot of people are campaigning for him to win it just because he was the only guy on his team. I don't like that argument because LeBron should have won it all those times in Cleveland then,
2018.
for sure. I mean, I thought he deserved it anyways. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's a different conversation. But Steph Curry this season having a ridiculous year, 32 points a game, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. They're the 8th seed in the West. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, or I guess the play-in. But I mean, he's done as good as he really can with that team, and but I don't think it's enough to win MVP necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You can't really knock a guy for not bringing their team, who is probably one of like the worst in the league, to a 8th seed or 7th seed or whatever. But that doesn't mean they're in the MVP race if they're putting up great numbers. Bradley Beal is putting up great numbers too,
Right.
and his team is in the same position. And no, they're not as good, but nobody's campaigning for MVP for him. And I think Steph Curry has had an amazing season, one of the best of his career, which is crazy to say because of how good he's been. But you cannot be that low and get MVP. I'm sorry. There would be a lot different MVP winners if that was the case. But yeah, props to him for doing what he's done. I think it was a kind of eye-opening year for a lot of people who were hating on Steph Curry. I don't think I was
he had a
in
lot
that.
to prove.
Yeah, I think people were comparing Dame to him, like as in like they're the same. That's not the case. He's the best point guard in the league, by far. But
And I just want to shout out before we move on to another guy. He's never going to win an MVP the rest of his career, but shout out Russell Westbrook. He's going to keep averaging a triple double. I did my spiel on him last episode, but just think about the fact that like 10 years ago, if anyone averages triple double, it's an automatic MVP. So,
yeah,
you know, he's not going to, I don't think he's going to win one again, but just a shout out there.
yeah, he's been awesome.
Yeah. Did you have any guys to talk about rather than the top two?
I guess we could talk about Luka because he was our pick.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that we both picked Luka. I mean, he was far and away the favorite, so it felt like a safe pick, but you know, it is what it is.
He hasn't had like a bad season or anything, but it was how good his second year was, where it's like we're expecting him to take this big jump, and he maybe regressed a little bit. I don't know if it was really that or he just didn't improve a ton, but it was kind of disappointing to see that his numbers didn't take another huge leap, which is probably unrealistic expectations for him. But the Mavs haven't been insanely good. They've been I think they're the 5th seed, which is solid.
Yeah.
I mean, in the West, that's good. But Luka's numbers by himself are not kind of what we expected them to be. 28, 8, and 8.5 assists, which is insanely good as a third-year player. He's 21 years old, and we're saying that's not insane. But it's because last year he basically had better stats, less efficient, but I mean, better totals. So yeah, he's not really in the conversation anymore, but I just wanted to talk about him since we both thought he was going to win it, and there's a reason why he was the front runner.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think he's really in the conversation.
And again, 28, 8, and 8, like that's a great season.
Yeah.
So, and for a guy so young like Luka, that's just it's amazing. And I don't see a world where he doesn't get an MVP at some point in his career.
Yeah.
But I think the conversation is Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic as we head towards the last 2 games. I'm going with Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, same.
Joel Embiid, I'll talk about him. He was my guy in fantasy this year. So shout out Joel. And I mean, dude, he did his thing all year. Basically 30 points, 10 rebounds. Missed a lot of time. Again, it's similar to the rookie of the year situation. He was hurt for a while, and then he just misses games every 2 or 3 games, which in my opinion, you can't really win an MVP doing stuff like that, just because that means if your team is still the 1 seed in the East and you're missing so many games, you're not that valuable. And don't get me wrong, he's obviously very valuable to his team, but they were able to hold it down without him. So
yeah, he's not bringing a lottery team to the 1st seed.
Exactly. So, Joel Embiid, I think if he would have played every game, I mean, you don't have to play every game, but if he would have, obviously not gotten injured is a tough thing to say because he didn't really have much control over it. But even after he got injured, if he hadn't, just kept taking days off, he would have had a more legitimate shot at this. But I mean, Nikola Jokic just played like every single game for the Nuggets.
Yeah. And for Embiid, like, I think it's good that he took time off. It's just that he's not going to win MVP because of it. But like in the long term, if you look at it, like he wants to win a championship, and 1 year of finishing second in MVP voting instead of first is not worth ruining your career. But yeah, Nikola Jokic, I think even if Embiid played all the games, I think this would still be really close.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, like Jokic's stats are insane. Like, he is the MVP this year. People
Mhm.
who argue Joel right now, I think might be a little biased or something because,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Jokic has just been amazing at everything. I think he's like so good at everything, and then people knock him on the defensive end. He has not been bad at defense this year at all. Um, and he's not athletic at all. So it's just crazy to watch a guy like this just dominate in everything. He's averaging 26 and a half points, 11 rebounds, and 8.5 assists per game as a center. This guy is like, uh, the positions aren't really a thing anymore, but this man is the
We've
point guard, at least facilitator on the team.
we haven't
Like,
seen that really.
yeah, there's never been a player like this. And he could, like, if we were really not looking at anybody else, he could win most improved player if the narrative
Mhm.
wasn't there for him winning MVP.
Absolutely.
Like, that's insane that he could win that, and he's considered MVP favorite right now. Um,
Yeah. I
how
think
old
he
is he? He's 25 too.
yeah, I think
That's really
he
young.
he is like this what centers of the future look like because
Yeah,
like you said, positionless basketball is slowly taking over. Um and dude, he can do everything and he's 7 feet tall. He'll put
yeah,
up the most ugly looking shots you'll ever see, but they'll go in. I mean, you look at Nikola Jokic, you're like, no, that guy, he's tall, but he's not an NBA athlete. But then he'll go up and piece you for a 40-point triple double.
yeah,
So just what he's done this year, he's done literally everything for that Nuggets team. Everyone kind of thought Jamal Murray was going to take this massive step forward. He didn't really, and then obviously he got hurt. Um, yeah, Michael Porter Jr. got better, but Nikola Jokic creates everything that happens on that offense. Like
yeah,
everything runs through him. Even if he's not carrying the ball, he's got two guys on him. Like
yeah.
it's the
And
Nikola Jokic show.
like, the narrative was not there at all. It seemed
Right.
like halfway through the year, people just didn't want to even talk about him because there was no narrative around him. But now, like, you just can't ignore what's happening. And also, like, Jamal Murray got hurt, and the team
They got
I
better.
mean, record wise got better. I don't think the team is better, but they've
Yeah.
been better. And Nikola Jokic has been the biggest part of that. Michael Porter Jr. has been amazing too, but Nikola Jokic has been carrying this team. Um, he does literally everything. We've talked about it, but I think he's the clear favorite.
Right. And props to him because he never had a narrative. It was like
Yeah,
we want LeBron or we want Joel halfway through the season. And obviously
yeah,
LeBron got injured and then Joel got injured. So it kind of opened the door for him, but I mean, yeah, it gets to a point where you can't deny what he's doing.
yeah. And it's
It's
not like he's the MVP because he got injured. There were just so many other people that were having amazing seasons. Like, him
yeah.
in other years would have won this too.
Hmm.
It's not like an injury MVP.
Yeah.
Like, he deserves this 100%.
Right. And the big thing is he's doing it from the center position, which we talked about, but
Yeah.
it's just crazy. So yeah, those are our NBA awards compared to our preseason awards. I mean, we both, I guess, we both. I got one right. You think you got one right, and I think I got one right. So, so we'll see what happens, what goes down. Um, Now we're gonna kind of shift, still in the NBA, to the Western Conference play-in. As of right now, it's Friday, May 14th. It's very close, and a lot of things can happen in these last couple of games. Um, just to break it down, Mavs hold the 5 seed at 41 and 29. They play the Raptors and the Timberwolves. I think they stay there.
Yeah.
Uh, at the 6, the Blazers, they're 41 and 30. They play the Nuggets. Um, they just said the Lakers are right behind them at 40 and 30. They play the Pacers and the Pelicans. So, and the difference there, the Blazers are the 6 seed, not in a play-in, so they'd face off against the Clippers round one, and then the Lakers at the 7 seed are in the play-in. Um, so we've talked about the play-in in the past. If you don't know, go
Yeah.
watch another episode. And if the Lakers win their last 2 games against the Pacers and the Pelicans, which I think they can, I think they're going to be fully healthy. I know Schroeder's coming back. I know AD's coming back. AD missed like 1 game, but LeBron is said to have been coming back, but he also said that last game and he didn't. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
hopefully.
If the Lakers win those two games and the Blazers lose to the Nuggets, then the Lakers jump into the 6th seed and we're getting the Battle of LA in the first round, which I would love. I think that'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Um, as a Laker fan, I don't know if I love it as much, but um, avoiding the play-in is good. You don't want to play in a 1-game series. That's just never a good idea. Um, and actually, at 8-9, I didn't realize this, but the Warriors and Grizzlies have the same record, and they each have 2 games left, and they play each other the last game of the season.
Yep.
So that
That's
could
gonna be
flip.
good.
That could flip flop. And then the Spurs are they're 33 and 37. It's kind of a big jump, but they're not. They're there. They're not going to move. Dude, Warriors Grizzlies. I think that means a lot in terms of for the Lakers or the Blazers, whoever plays them. I
Yeah.
think both teams would rather play the Grizzlies.
Yeah. And there's a couple things that could change here. So, like, when we're talking about stuff, it all is just speculation.
Right,
Because the
absolutely.
Lakers
And
could be the 6th seed, but
yeah, and just by the way, if you're listening before the play-in, there won't be a podcast episode before before the play-in games, but there will be one before official playoffs start. So we're gonna do our playoff bracket next week. But right now, this is just what we think about the Western Conference play-in.
yeah. But yeah, I think the sort of media wants like Lakers Warriors. That's kind of obvious. That would be amazing. But
I
yeah, the
think
Grizzlies
I think the media
have a good chance too.
might want Blazers Warriors. I think that'd be a fun one.
Yeah, I think they're both going to be good. I think Lakers Clippers would be awesome too. So
Mhm.
I don't. I think the players don't like the play-in because they obviously have to do the play-in when they're a better team. But as a fan's perspective, I think this is going to be pretty awesome. Um, but yeah, I'm just excited to see what happens. If it's the Lakers Warriors, if everything stays the same, that's going to be an awesome game. And the loser of that game isn't eliminated. They play the next game against the winner of the, what is it, 9-10 seed?
Yeah, it would be like Grizzlies Spurs.
Yeah. So I think it's not like a win or go home situation, but it's sort of got that like aspect of it where like you're moving on or you're have a chance to get eliminated. And that's like LeBron versus Steph Curry in that. I don't think people expected that at all.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I would expect the Lakers to win, but because of their injuries, I mean, I don't really know what could happen. And Steph Curry is really dangerous. That Warriors team is not full of scrubs. They've got some good players. Obviously, like the bench is not great, but like they've got some players who can do their thing. Draymond Green knows what he's doing. Andrew Wiggins is not a bad player. Kelly Oubre is not bad. But yeah, I would put money on the Lakers if I had to be betting.
Right. The one thing with the Lakers, again, you said it, they just haven't been all together in the past couple of weeks. Again, like I said, Schroeder, LeBron, Jared Dudley, if you care, is coming back this weekend. And I think if they get these 2 games and if they can win these 2 games handedly enough with the full roster, I feel confident with them against really any team because, I mean, LeBron comes in, he's not going to harm team chemistry. It's LeBron James. He's going to make everyone better. So, I mean, and Schroeder comes back, another playmaker. That's the one thing about this Lakers team, why they've struggled so much. They had no playmakers. Like,
Yeah.
nobody can, like, Taylor Horton Tucker, who I think, I mean, dude, he's like 19, 20 years old, and he's going to be great, and he's been playing really well, but he's just not a guy
He's
that
not
can
LeBron
handle.
James.
Exactly. But, I mean, dude, it should be interesting. Blazers Nuggets is going to be the decider. If I think the Lakers can take care of the Pacers and the Pelicans.
Yeah.
Warriors Grizzlies is going to be fun. I think it's so hard to count the Warriors out of any game because it's just Steph Curry,
Yeah. And then, I mean, also we can talk about Grizzlies Spurs or Warriors Spurs, probably Grizzlies Spurs, I would guess. I've talked about it before. I don't want to count out the Spurs because they're good. They're solid. I don't know if they're good. But I would definitely go with the Grizzlies here. I think they have more pieces. They just got Triple J back, and he's been a big part of their team.
Yeah.
And even without him, they've done well. So with him, I think it just makes them a lot better. The Spurs have like DeMar DeRozan. He's a veteran mixed with a lot of young guys. I think this could be a fun game if it happens. I don't think it's something that we should just count the Spurs out with because they're really good. They're coached by Greg Popovich, the probably best coach of all time.
There you go. There's a take.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun too. I don't think it's just like we should just watch Lakers Warriors and then this game is also happening, but who cares?
Hmm.
Because like either team of those could beat like say the Warriors if they lose. Like none of
Yeah.
these teams are bad. So yeah, I'm excited for whatever happens. The matchup for whoever wins the 7-8 gets to play the Suns. And then 9-10 gets to play the Jazz. So that's their prizes as they get to go against those guys, which is not fun. But for you being a Lakers fan, I've been following the Lakers a lot because I'm a LeBron fan. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I'm not gonna lie and pretend like I'm not rooting for them in the
Yeah.
playoffs. Um, like I don't know if I would want to play either the Suns or the Clippers in the first round.
I mean, I think right now I'd rather play the Suns, because the Clippers I think are the only team in the West that has a quote unquote LeBron stopper, and I mean AD just pieced up DeAndre Ayton for like 45 points a couple nights ago. So, and I mean, I don't know. I just feel like the Clippers are a more complete team. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Suns are amazing. They've done such a good job this year. But I mean, if you can somewhat contain Devin Booker, there's only so much Chris Paul can do on offense. And DeAndre Ayton has showed glimpses, but not enough for me to be genuinely worried about him against a guy like Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I think the play-in game is obviously something you want to avoid.
Hmm.
But if everything would go right, I think if I were the Lakers, I would want to play the Suns, just like you said. Uh, the Clippers are very underrated right now, and I
Yeah, I
think
don't
they're
I don't
probably
get
the
it.
second best team in the West, behind the Lakers.
Mhm.
But the Lakers are, I don't really know what to think about them because, yeah, it's like if they're healthy, they're going to be the number one team. But like, I don't know if they're going to be healthy. LeBron has not come back, and there's 2 more games in the regular season. So yeah, I'd be really scared of the Clippers. Honestly, they have not shut down LeBron, but they've made him work a lot harder than most other teams.
Right.
So yeah, I'm excited. Literally any scenario is going to be fun. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm
Um,
excited.
Great for the fans. Players hate it. Hey,
Yeah.
gotta love it. But yeah, that's the plan. It's happening next week. So I mean, it's going to be entertaining basketball. Anytime it's a one game, not winner take all necessarily. It could be, but I mean, it's going to be high octane, high pressure. It's going to be great.
Yep.
Um, and that brings us to our last segment. Shifting from the NBA, MLB fans, baseball fans, rejoice. We're talking about you. Um, and kind of one of the bigger headlines in the MLB this season, and that's just pitching has been so good. Um, I mean, we saw this trend for the past couple of years where it's home runs, home runs, home runs. The balls are bouncy, like they're going. But this year that just hasn't happened. I think we have more strikeouts than home runs, or strikeouts than something. And it's like the first time it's happened in a very long time. I don't know the exact stat. Basically, pitchers are doing very well.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, it
yeah.
just overall, just like in the world, I feel like there has been more of a shift, and this is for a lot of different reasons, where like baseball is sort of making a comeback.
Oh, it is, and it's great.
I absolutely love it. MLB The Show, shout out to them. They've brought Xbox players back. That includes myself. And it seems like I don't know. NBA has been considered like cool. NFL has been considered cool, and MLB has been like, oh, that's for like boring old people. But now it feels like there's been a shift. I think a lot of that is for players like Trevor Bauer, who
Shout out
just like,
Fernando Tatis.
yeah, they just go out and have fun and like show emotion. Like, please let that continue. That's ridiculous that it's taken so long. Um, but yeah, it's with that happening and pitching being so good, like there the world wants to watch baseball, but pitching has made it kind of boring
Yeah,
again
the
for
world wants
this.
to watch home runs.
Yeah, so I don't know what the right answer is. It's been awesome to watch pitchers like this, but I'm not gonna lie and pretend like it's not boring watching a no hitter. Like watching a
Right.
no hitter is awesome, but it's
Mhm.
also like, I mean, I want to see some home runs and some hits or some excitement. Um, so yeah, it's been great to see pitchers just absolutely dominate, but I feel like for baseball, it might actually not be so good.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw earlier in the offseason, Rob Manfred announced they're deadening the baseballs, which, whatever that means, it's basically helping the pitchers a ton because balls aren't flying. And we saw them, what's the opposite of deaden? I mean, just juice, I guess, the baseballs like 5 years ago, and we saw the home run rate go up. And with that, we saw interest in baseball start to go up. So, you know, I think it's great that pitchers. There have been like four no hitter. I'm sorry, no hitters. It might trigger you as an Indians fan.
Oh no,
Um, there's been four no hitters this year. What?
that's
It's
crazy
it's
already.
May. Like
Also,
you get like
sorry,
two no
go ahead.
hitters. You get like two, maybe three no hitters in a season usually.
Yeah,
It just doesn't happen.
there was almost one yesterday too. I was watching as an
Yeah.
Indians fan. Zach Plesac was in the 8th inning and he got a home run hit off of him. We still won though.
Dong.
But it's crazy because okay, I want to talk about this. Um, there has been cheating going on. Like it's obvious. Like nobody's pretending that it's not happening. It's been happening for a few years. And baseball came out and they were like, we're going to be collecting baseballs and stopping this cheating going on. And then they just like haven't done anything. Like I think they're collecting it and like what
I don't think
if
they're
they
doing much with it.
there's no way they aren't finding stuff if they actually are looking at it. Like there's a ton of videos of people, and I'm gonna like talk about some people, but I think it's most pitchers who do this. Like Garrett Cole has been really obviously like getting pine tar or something from his glove, and then his spin rate goes up from it. Um, and that's not like a knock on Garrett Cole because I feel like all these
A
pitchers have this
lot of
advantage.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's
What's his
just
name? What's his name? John Means, the guy who threw
yeah,
the
he
no
threw a
hitter
no
for the
hitter.
Orioles.
And he was like blatantly getting
and everyone,
something out of his glove.
and I mean, I automatically turn my head because it's like, who the fuck is John Means? You know, like, and then you see videos like that. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
And like I said, I think most pitchers do this, so it doesn't give like a pitcher advantage over another pitcher, but it obviously does between a pitcher and a hitter, and
yeah,
that's one of the big reasons why there's been like I think this is like the lowest OPS of any year in the last like
yeah,
20 years or something crazy.
dude. There's 20 pitchers right now, and I know it's early, but there's 20 pitchers with a WHIP below one. Like
Crazy.
the best, like I don't know, five pitchers at this point usually have a whip below one, and it's like the best. But now we're seeing guys like I don't even know. Damn, there's like five Dodgers on this list. But like Matthew Boyd, I mean, I guess he's solid, but not a whip below one. Freddie Peralta, I don't know. It's crazy, and I mean, there's just been the spin rate is a you talked about it, and it could stem from literal cheating. But like guys like Trevor Bauer, Shohei Ohtani, Dustin May, he's down with Tommy John, which is tragic. But I mean, they've literally all had like other guys too in the league have had like historic spin rates and like whiff rates. So
Yeah, that doesn't just happen.
no, it doesn't. And also the strikeouts. We're seeing obviously the best guys in the league are going to strike out a lot of guys, but like Corbin Burns has 58 strikeouts in 34 innings. DeGrom 65 in 40 innings. Garrett Cole has 78 strikeouts in 52 innings. And
Jeez.
Tyler Glass now is 75 in 49 innings. So, yeah, those are like four of the better pitchers in the league. Corbin Burns just burst onto the scene. But it's just so crazy how it's just such a spike from what the obvious trend has been in the past couple of years.
Yeah. It I think enforcing like I don't know rules against cheating really needs to happen. MLB probably isn't very good at it considering the Astros have a World Series, but I mean make that change. Like we want to see home runs, we want to see hits, We want exciting baseball when a bunch of new fans are trying to get into it.
Right.
And like even on our list, like Jacob deGrom has a .68 ERA, and I know this is an outlier, but he's 3-2. That means the other pitchers are doing well against him too. That like pitching around the league is just insane.
Yeah, Corbin Burns is 2-3 with a 1.5. Like,
that's ridiculous.
yeah, and it's crazy because we have teams that have the most, like, some of the best offenses we've ever seen. And the Dodgers are in an offensive dry spell, and you can attribute that to them just in a slump, or you can attribute that to just great pitching on the other side. I mean, the Yankees have kind of come on, but towards the beginning of the season, their offense was terrible. There's just teams around the league who should be so much better, but they're just getting shut out by just a bunch of pitchers around the league.
Yeah. And if cheating wasn't involved at all, I would have no problem with this. Pitchers are getting really good. Like that's happening.
Yeah.
Pitchers are better than they used to be. But also like when cheating also improves their stats a lot, like I don't want to see that if it makes baseball less fun to watch, I guess.
Exactly. And
so,
I mean, you said it. Pitchers are getting better, and if they're getting better, fine. But there's so much evidence for cheating. Like, it's all there. And I mean, yeah, we're going to keep seeing pitchers get better. I mean, Babe Ruth would be terrible today. The hardest throwing guy was like doing like 84 miles per hour. So now you got guys throwing 102, but which is fine. That's electric. That's exciting. But once you throw in, you can visibly see them going to the hat, going to the glove, whatever it may be. It's just
that's the same thing as steroids. Like,
exactly.
That's cheating.
It's performance enhancing. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely something to look at for the rest of the season, whether the MLB does anything about it or if they just let it ride. Which, I mean, if they let it ride,
I feel like they have to kind of.
Well, yeah, as people start actually realizing it, it's starting to go like viral on TikTok and Twitter and stuff. So that's where people see stuff. So
yeah,
should be interesting to see what the MLB does and what hitters do, because I mean, really, hitters can't really do anything. There's nothing you can do to combat it besides maybe try to call it out when you see it happen. But maybe they won't call it out because their own pitcher's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, should be interesting. I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening to episode number 39. We gave our NBA awards. Let us know what you think. We also talked about the Western Conference play-in, which should be very fun to watch in the next week. And then we went into this MLB weird pitching phenomena that's going on right now. As always, follow us on all our social medias. If you made it this far, we love you, and comment. Pitchers are cheating so hard on our Instagram or YouTube or whatever you want. But yeah, thanks for listening. And for my co-host, Logan Ring, my name is Diego Sandoval, signing off.
Signing off.